Hi everyone, my name is Mary and welcome back to Queenique. Today in this video, as you can see, I have section 4 right in front of me and we're going to learn how to sew all 4 of these parts together. So this is the first one and I have it over here so you can see it. And then this one is going to be section 2. As you can see, this is what it looks like. So you can grab each one. Then we have section 3. So it looks like this. And 4.3 looks like this one. And then the very last one is going to be 4.4. And this is what it looks like right here. Okay, and when you're putting all of the sections together, this is what they're going to look like. So there's section 1 into section 2, section 3 into section 4. Okay, so we're going to be crocheting those. And one thing about section 1 is make sure this little block piece right here is actually on the yellow right here because it goes up. As you can see, they're kind of like staircases going up. And then when you go over to this section, we have that little section right here, so that one will connect with part number 2 to part number 3, as you can see. And then the very last section will be section 4. And this section right here will connect with this section, this will connect with this, and the blue will connect with that. Okay, so let's get started. Don't forget to grab your scissors, your yarn thread, or your thread, and a needle with a large eye hole or a small one like I have right here. Okay, alrighty, so I'm back. And I have my needle already ready to go. I have a little bit of thread on it. So this is section 1.1, excuse me, 4.1. This is 4.2. You're going to pinch the bottom down here. You're going to pinch the top up here and turn it. And then, excuse me, I'm going to grab some pins. And for this section right here, since it's going to be on the blue, I'm going to pin it right here. And then this section is going to be on the 2 rows of yellow. So I'm going to pin that right there. So that lets me know when I get down to this section, these pieces are in the right spot. And then I'm going to pin it down here. And then I'm going to start. And as always, you can start at any side. You can start at the bottom if you'd like, or you can start at the top. It doesn't really matter. We're going to start at the top. So you're going to find your first last stitches on this one. Whereas this one is going to be your last stitch right here. And this one is going to be your last stitch. And you're going to put the needle through both of those stitches, pull through, put your needle right through a loop, and pull nice and tight. And then all you're going to do is start sewing. Just like this. And I am going to meet you down at the bottom once I have finished sewing all of this. Okay, so I'll be back shortly. Alrighty, so I made it down at the bottom. Now one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video is I have an added on bonus. So I am going to show you at the end of the video how to sew section 3 and section 4 together. So that way you get to see what the picture is starting to look like. Okay, so let's finish off this very last stitch right here. Now, when you get down to the bottom, like always, you're going to find the last 2 stitches or something that you think is the last 2 stitches or something close to the end. and put your needle right through. And then I like to go back through that again, making a loop. And then I put my finger right on top as I'm pulling my thread. That way I can have my loop. And then I'm going to put my needle through that loop, pull my finger out and hold with my 2 fingers the thread. So that way I have my very last loop. And then I will pull up with my finger and down with these hands. So that way I can get a little tighter. And then I'm going to put my needle right through, pull my finger out, and just pull nice and tight, making that knot. And then I'm going to put my needle right through. I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to cut my thread. Then I'm going to make a knot so I can use the same thread to sew section 3 to section 2. There we go. So this is what it looks like. Okay. Pull it out a little bit for you. So there you go. There's section 1 and there's section 2. Now we're going to grab section 3 and we're going to sew it to this side. Alrighty, so I grabbed section 3 and we're going to sew it to section 2. So what you're going to want to do is grab some pins, and what I like to do is kind of turn it like this, so that way I can line it up better. So this little section is going to be your border, and that's going to connect to this border on section 2. So I'm going to pin it right here, so that way I know that's where that section needs to be sewn. And as I move down, I'm going to make sure that this Batman wings section is connected to this Batman wings section. I'm going to grab another pin and I'm going to pin it right. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pin it right here so that this section right here is lined up with that section. There we go. Nice and lined up. We're ready to go. And then you're going to just grab your needle, which I have ready over here. Find the last 2 stitches at the end. Put my needle through both of those stitches and pull until I come up with the loop. Put my needle through that loop and pull until it's nice and connected. And then I'm going to make sure I'm nice and lined up, and I'm going to start the sewing process. So hopefully you've been watching these videos and you pretty much understand how to do the sewing process. So I'm just going to sew this all the way down to the bottom, and I will meet you down at the end. Alrighty, so I made it down to the bottom right here, and I have one more stitch right here. So you're going to turn your work and find the last 2 stitches on the bottom, and then go back through just like this, and like I said before, put your finger in there so that way you can form the loop. Put your needle through the loop, put your finger back through like this. I like to pull up with my finger and then pull down. Put my needle back through that loop like this. Pull my finger out and then just pull nice and tight. Okay, and then put my needle right back through, and then I'm going to cut my thread. Now I do have a little bit of thread left over, So I am going to tie a knot and use this for the last section, which is going to be 4.4, and I'm going to grab that section and we are going to get it done. So this is what it looks like so far. Section 1, section 2, and section 3. And then we're going to sew together section 4. I'll be back in just a moment. Alrighty, so I'm back and here is section 4. So what I'm going to do now, move my tomato out of the way, I'm going to pinch at the top and I'm going to pinch at the bottom, and I'm going to turn my work. And now I'm going to start doing the pinning process. So that way when I sew everything together, it will be in line. So I'm going to sew this border section right here and make sure that it lines up. Just going to put a needle right through there. I'm going to sew this section right here. Make sure it lines up. You can flip it like this to see if it lines up, because if normally you flip it and it doesn't line up, you can kind of see that. You see how like this lines up with the yellow and the yellow lines up with that. So you want to move it to where when you flip it, it lines up. Okay, so I'm going to grab another pin and I'm going to pin this section, because this whole entire section right here is all in black yarn. And so if you'd like, you can pin those sections like this. Okay, and then you can pin the bottom section as well, like that. And then you can start the sewing process. So since I had a little bit of thread left, we're going to use that. So you're going to turn your work. Sorry, it fell. And again, we're going to look for the last 2 stitches on the bottom. Put your needle through this stitch and this stitch. It's a lot easier to see when you have a blue color instead of a darker color. Okay, put your needle through both of them. Wait until you have a nice little loop. Put your needle through the loop and then pull. And then you can just start the sewing process just like this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew this, and when I get down to the bottom, I will be back. And then we will start on the bonus, which is sewing section 4, which is this one, to section 3. Okay, so I will be back shortly. Alrighty, so I'm back, and I made it down to the end, as you can see. Let me just move some of these. Alrighty, so you're going to find the last 2 stitches on the, well, it's bottom. For me, it looks like top. So this will be the bottom. Find the last 2 stitches and then put your needle through. And then of course you're going to go back through those last 2 stitches. Okay. And yeah, this one is going to be a big old problem. Put your finger through here. Put your, sorry, trying to get that yarn tail out of the way. Put your needle through this loop like this. Then pull your finger out and put it through this loop, and then pull up and pull down and put your needle back through that loop and then pull tight. Okay, and then pull right through. And then you want to grab your scissors and you want to cut. Now this isn't going to be enough thread to sew section 4 to section 3. So I am going to show you what section 4 looks like now. Okay, so that's 4.1, that's 4.2, that one is 4.3, and that one is 4.4. And right there is section 3. I had to go and find it really quickly. So when you are pulling out your sections, make sure for section 3, this is what you have. Okay, so this is the first section, and sometimes your stuff might go this way, and if it does, it'll look something maybe like this, or it'll look like it's on the other side. Just make sure that your yellow piece right here is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's another one that's 6, and I believe that one was for section 2. Okay, so be very careful when you're looking for this one. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is 3.1. This one is 3.2 because you have that little small little yellow section right at the very top. 3.3 should be very easy. It's all in black yarn, no colors, just that one. And then this one is section 3.4. It's a little bit smaller because remember we were doing 17 foundation double crochets, and then you have this long piece of black yarn on the side. Okay, so I am going to grab my section 3, and now this is the bonus where I'm going to show you how to sew section 3 to section 4. Be back shortly. Alrighty, so I'm back and I grabbed section 4 at the top right here, and then I grabbed section 3 down here at the very bottom, as you can see. And this is how it's going to connect. So I'm going to pull it apart, okay? And so you're going to connect it like this. And you're going to connect the black pieces and the yellow pieces, okay? So we're going to get our pins and we're going to start connecting. So you're going to grab each section. I know it's a little difficult to see. So we'll start on the far right section, and you'll grab some pins and you'll just start the pinning process, okay? So you'll just start pinning it like this, and then wherever you see a bump, I know I sewed this wrong, the bump is on the other side. This is the bump right here. So line up the bumps and start pinning them just like this, and then you'll move over to the next bump section right here, and then my section right here, and we'll just start pinning. Oh, I pinned myself by accident. And then as you can see, this was supposed to be the bump right here, and then this is the bump. I sewed it wrong, but that's okay, you know, it happens. And then we'll just we'll just pin this section, and then make sure you line up all of your colored sections. So this yellow section to this black section, and then the blue section. And what I like to do is grab my pins, and I will pin each of those colored sections, so that way they're all nice and lined up, just like this, okay? So everything's nice and lined up, and if you want, you can also put another pin right here in the middle, so that way it's nice and lined up. Move my tomato out of the way. And there you go. All your sections are nice and pinned, and you can always put another pin right here. You don't like how open it is. So I'll just pin this right here. Okay? And then you're going to take your needle. Let me grab my needle. Take your needle and make sure you have a long enough thread to start the sewing process. So I'm going to do that real quick and then we'll be back. Okay, so we are back, and I have a really long piece of thread. As you can see, I'm pulling on it right now. Okay, so there we go. That's your long thread. And as we do before, I'm going to pull this pin out. And I'll pull my camera down so you can see a little bit better. Now, instead of going on the side right here, we're just going to go right on the top and find our stitches. So last stitch, put your needle right through. You can always put it right through your thread as you pull, as you can see, and then that way you have connected it. And then now you're just going to go through the stitches. as you can see. You'll just go in and out of each stitch like I'm doing right here, pulling on your thread. Hopefully you watched my last video where I showed you how to connect section 1 and section 2 together. It's going to be exactly the same, it's just you're going to have a different picture. And then in the next video I am going to show you how to connect 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 together, and it'll be exactly the same. It's just I have to show you what the picture looks like and how to connect each section, and then you can start your sewing process. And that should be a much shorter video than these ones have been. Okay, so I am just going to keep sewing. Just remember, take your time and make sure to sew in between these stitches as if you were putting your crochet hook in, just like this, and then into this one. Make sure to connect, oh, I did that wrong, that's okay. Just make sure to connect each of the stitches. That's why I told you to use some pins. Pins help you to connect your stuff. And just remember, once you get to this section, you'll just go in this stitch and then go in this stitch. Just like we're doing right now, where we're going in and out. So I connected these 2 stitches. Now I'm going to go into the next stitch. And if you want to, you can pull it apart so that way you know where your next stitch is. And then you'll just keep sewing just like this. And I might do a small little time lapse.
That's how I get to.
Let's get to that middle section right here, and I'll show you how to do it real quick, okay? And I would say do this nice and slowly. So now we're at this section, so pull your pin out, and then you'll go into this yellow one, and then you'll go into this black one, just like that. Okay, nothing too special, and you're going to do that down the whole entire way, okay? That's why I would suggest to get a nice bright light so you can see all your black stitches and you know that you're going into the correct stitch, as you can see right here. So get a nice bright light so you can see this black section, because this yellow section is a lot easier to see, whether it's light, whether it's a bright light like I have right here on my desk, or it's a darker light. Okay, so I will meet you down at the end. Alrighty, so I'm back and I have a few more stitches that I just have to sew real quick. So let's get those done. There we go. And then when you get to the end here, this is where your last 2 stitches are. You're going to put your needle right through there to finish off that stitch. Go back through like this. Put your finger through that loop. Put your needle through the loop like this. Put your finger through the new loop that you just made. Pull up, pull down. Make sure not to get your finger caught in there. Put your needle back through, pull your finger out, and then you are done. And then I just go back through that one more time, and then I grab my scissors and I'm done. Okay, and then I'm going to use this to sew another. I have more stuff that I have to sew. This will be the second section. This is the first section that I'm sewing, and then I can use this for the right section, because this is your left section. And I'm going to pull out my camera and show you it all sewn together. So let me pull this up real quick. Let me pull this down, and then we get to see the whole thing. So there is section 4 sewn together with section 3. Okay, so there you go. This is what it is starting to look like, and in the next video I'm going to sew section 4, section 3 to section 2 and section 1, and those 2 are already done. I already did them in another video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gives you more understanding of what you are building and what the wing section is going to look like. In the next section, we're going to, I know I keep repeating myself, in the next section we're going to sew these two sections to 1 and 2. So please, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to scroll down, hit that like button. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And again, my name is Mary and this is Quinique. And together we can create something amazing. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.